The new season has just started and there are already some teams behind the expectations. Rather big clubs like Lyon and Valencia are playing bad all again, sitting last in their domestic league. Phenomenons like the relegated teams struggling in the second division caught up to teams like Luton Town or SV Darmstadt, who are struggling after already getting relegated last year. But there is another group of teams, the teams that surprised last year but will struggle now. So let's look into it. In general, it's a known scenario, so maybe it was expected. A team really surprises in their league and gets a place which secures them European football. But most of these teams don't have that much money, so the success rather comes from good work inside the club, especially the scouting and training. When these clubs get successful, it is clear that their players are thought after. Big clubs are coming and will buy all the top performers, the core of the team, and that's just unfair. It is how it is, but still. The bigger teams can buy whoever they want, and most of the time, they won't even struggle with the financial fair play rules. The smaller teams will now have to make new, well thought out transfers in the hope that the players will develop to class players again. But we all know that this cannot go well for a long time period. The core of the team is gone, and now there comes the European football, the long awaited reward for a tough season where you fought for that spot. It's surely a blessing for one season, but for a struggling team, it's a burden. More you have to cover if you don't want to get relegated, more games, less quality in the squad. This can lead to bad results. There are good examples for that in the Bundesliga of the past years. Last year, Union Berlin made a sensation and qualified for the Champions League, and this after they got promoted 5 years ago. But last season they struggled a lot and had to fight against a relegation for almost the whole season. Another example is the first FC Cologne. In the season 2017-18 they played in the Europa League, but mixed with some other problems they got relegated that season into the second Bundesliga. If you enjoy videos about current topics in the top 5 leagues which make a football fan cry, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you speak of this season, there are some candidates. And yes, of course, it's possible that they just had a bad start and will play a good season. First there's Bologna. Right now, they are not convincing. Especially if you compare it with its last year run to the Champions League spot. With Riccardo Calafiori and Joshua Zirkzee, they have lost 2 players who are huge for their success. It will be difficult for the likes of the new transfer Dalinga, Cambiachi or Erlich to replace them, but maybe the biggest loss for them is the departure of Thiago Motta to Juventus Turin. With his controlled build-up and modern playstyle, he was an important figure for their success last year, but now he's gone and Bologna are struggling. Nevertheless, his replacement, Vincenzo Italiano, is also a good coach. Last year, he had a solid point average of 1.66 at Florence. Yes, it's less than Motta's 1.83, but if he gets some time, he could get a turnaround. Next is Girona. Last year, they overpassed Barcelona sensationally and got second, so they will also play the UCL this year, but they have lost many of their core players. Artem Dovbyk and Alex Garcia left on transfers, and with Eric Garcia, Savinho and Jan Godot, 3 players left after their loan ended. So many players to replace, and it's questionable if Donny van de Beek, Abel Ruiz and young Yasser Asprilla will be able to do this. At least they were able to keep their coach Mitchell, and after their 3-0 defeat against Atletico and the 1-1 against Betis, they finally won their first game against Osasuna convincingly with 4-0. But they will most probably face difficulties this season. Then there is Stade Brest. Last year they got surprisingly third in front of other big teams like Lille, Nizza, Lyon or Marseille. Therefore they qualified for the Champions League. Their coach is still the same, Eric Roy, who has a point average of 1.63 since he is at the club. Brest haven't lost many of their core players. With Les Melou and Loco, there are 2 players injured, but it's not that bad. Despite that, they are still on a relegation spot after some bad games. One of them was a 1-5 disaster against Marseille. So most of the team is still there, they know each other, so a turnaround is surely possible. Especially cause they play at the beginning of the season rather against strong opponents. You could also name VfB Stuttgart after their successful last season where they got second place. They got surprised this season and Freiburg bet them 3-1. But the Bundesliga has just started and there is not much to worry about them either. But what is your opinion? Which team do you think will get the turnaround? And which team will have a really bad season? Write it in the comments. Thanks for watching guys and see you